What's going on, Not Move Nation? Welcome to the Not Move podcast. Today is October 27th at 5:03 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a very special guest with us in the building. KT, thank you for joining. And then JB Sport Talk. We're going to break down this Monday night football game, Washington Commanders at Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs have a 10-1 all-time record against Washington. The Chiefs have won 8 straight games against Washington. And Mahomes has a 1-0 career record against them. Mahomes needs 3 touchdown passes to move to 22nd place on the all-time passing touchdown career leaders list. So if he gets 3 tonight, he moves up on that list. Last that I checked, Kansas City's favored by 10.5, and the over-under is 47.5. Injuries that I see, the most notable injuries are really all with Washington. Jaden Daniels out, so Mariota will most likely be the starter tonight. Wide receiver Noah Brown out for Washington. And then I just learned that Matt Gay, the kicker for Washington, is out with back problems, so they elevated Matthew Wright from the practice squad. With all that being said, JB, do you think Mahomes gets those 3+ touchdown passes tonight to move up in that career leaders list?
Oh yeah. I think they get torched. I know Bobby Wagner's top 5 in tackles right now. That doesn't stop the pass, but yeah, I think it's big chances. He gets that. He's good for that 3 touchdown passes.
Right on, man. And then KT, who do you think is the X factor in this game, for either team? Which player do you expect to stand out the most in this one?
If the Commanders are going to have any chance of keeping it close, it's definitely going to be all about Deebo Samuels. The rush, the pass, he's going to have to do all those little tricks he have up his sleeves to keep this game close because we know more than likely they're going to double Terry. If he can get away and they can have any resemblance of a decent running game today with Deebo, with the new running back they have, and then Chiefs giving up the most rush yards or scrimmage yards, as you should say, the quarterbacks, I think they have a very good chance today. I don't think they get torched. I honestly don't think they'll get torched, to be honest. I think I think that spread is a little too high. I mean, I know this weekend we did have the Colts torch the Titans, but that's the Titans. Like Commanders has a lot more pride. They have a better squad. They play better football. They almost beat the Bears. That critical mistake. It was raining. Jaden Daniels dropped the ball. I don't see that happening tonight. I think Mariota's gonna really put his team in a decent position to even if they don't win, to at least keep it close. I think they will keep it close.
Yeah, and you and I were talking before we got on the air here that the Chiefs before the week started, allowed the 6th most rushing yards to quarterbacks. Last that I checked, Mariota's over-under on rushing yards was 29.5. He's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this season. Went over that in 2 out of 3 games last season. He only had 3 pass attempts in the game that he didn't go over that. And then he went over that in 1 out of 2 career games against Kansas City. Technically, he's played 3, but I don't think he had many passing attempts in that game, if any. So if I were to play a player prop for Washington, I think that would be my first look there. And then JB, we were talking about and you've talked about this guy all year long, Brashard Smith. His over-under on receiving yards is 17.5. He's gone over that in his last 4 games. And when I'm looking at this game log against the Raiders last week, JB, I saw that Rashee Rice had 10 targets, and guess who had the 2nd most targets? Brashard Smith with 5. Washington, before the week started, allowed the 5th most receiving yards to running backs. Do you think he goes over that again here tonight, JB?
Oh, absolutely. Those are my 2 picks right there. Is Rashee Rice and Brashard Smith. I think definitely with the receptions with Rashee Rice. Brashard Smith, I think he's definitely a golden ticket as well.
Yeah. My only concern would be that the Chiefs get ahead in this game. Let's say they're up by a lot. in the third quarter. And then I think they'll be running the ball a little bit more, calling a few more rushing plays. So that's my only concern with these Chiefs receiving props. But, I think it's going to be a closer game than what people expect as well. I'm thinking that Washington covers. I do like the Chiefs to win. I have them in my survivor pick for today, for this week in week 8. Now, for Washington, that's where the Chiefs' biggest defensive vulnerability really is the rushing yards allowed per game. Before the week started, they ranked 15th. And passing yards allowed per game, the Chiefs ranked 4th. So, and Washington also likes to run the ball. But we've talked about this in the past, JB, and I don't know if anybody has still done this, but isn't there some crazy record where a running back hasn't rushed for 100+ yards against the Chiefs in 30-something games?
Yep. It's like 32 games. The Chiefs defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher.
But, before the week started, the Chiefs ranked 10th best in rushing yards allowed to running backs. So they've been doing great at limiting those rushing yards. But when teams are rushing against Kansas City, they're actually letting up some big gains. The Chiefs ranked 22nd in opponent rush yards per attempt. Krosky Merritt ranks 11th best in the NFL in rushing yards per carry. I think that is going to be critical for Washington's success tonight, to be able to establish that run with Krosky Merritt. I don't know what his over-under is on the rush yards, but I think it's worth consideration.
It's about 40. It's a 42.5 on Hard Rock.
How do you guys feel about that, KT?
He's 42.5 right now. I think he could get 42.5.
Yeah.
I don't see them rushing 100. But what I do see a little bit different here is the different element that Commanders could play with. Now, they could jet sweep with Debo, or they could go down the middle with Merritt. It all depends on how they play. But to be honest with you, I do have the Commanders to score first in this game, as crazy as it may seem. I know JB, he's crazy right now. I put 100 on Commanders to score first at plus 3,000. So I say, that might be a bold night, because in primetime games, for some strange reason, it never goes exactly the way you think it should go. As JB Riley said, this should be maybe a 40-20, 42 to maybe some score. But I don't think on these primetime games this is the only game play that happens. And Terry coming back for me is a big thing, because the Chiefs have really struggled at times with the pass yards allowed. So if Mariota can just settle in the pocket, he gets a little bit of protection, find his number one wide receiver, and he can check it down to Debo, who is probably, to me, the best yards after catch right now. I think they might have a chance, man. I don't know. I'll be sticking my head on the limb. I do think the Chiefs win, but I think this is professional football. This is not the Titans. This isn't the Browns. This is a pretty decent football team. So plus 11, I think the line is really oversaturated there. I see it keeps coming down as the day goes on. I don't know. I don't see. I love me some Mahomes, but I just don't see a big blowout here for them in this particular game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with you. And I do want to touch on the Chiefs rushing attack a little bit here too. The Commanders ranked 21st before the week started, 21st in rushing yards allowed per game. Their pass defense really wasn't great either. They ranked 25th in passing yards allowed per game. With that being said, Pacheco, last that I saw, over under 51.5 rushing yards. Kareem Hunt, over 20.5 rushing yards. I think I would have to lean towards Kareem Hunt going over his instead of Pacheco in this game, because of a couple of reasons. One reason would be that Hunt's gone over that 20.5 rushing total in 5 out of 7 games this season, whereas Pacheco has gone over that 51.5 in only 1 out of 7 games this season. Also, Hunt went over that total in 12 out of 16 games, so 75% of his games in 2024, where Pacheco only went over that in 2 out of 10 games in 2024. Hunt has also he has experience against Washington. He's gone over that in 1 out of 2 career games against Washington. He also has a receiving touchdown in one of those games against Washington. So I'd have to lean over Hunt to get the 21 plus rushing yards instead of Pacheco getting 52 plus. JB, which one would you have to lean towards if you were to play a player prop out of those two? Do you think Pacheco has a better chance of getting 52 plus rushing yards or Hunt getting 21 plus?
Pacheco. Hunt's more of a short yardage, third down, 4th and 1, goal line guy. Don't expect him to do a lot of running.
Yeah.
Yeah, bell cow.
And then something else that we have to talk about is are the tight ends in this game. Okay. Washington hasn't been extremely vulnerable to receiving yards allowed to tight ends, but they haven't been great at defending that either. Kelsey's over-under on receiving yards was 41.5 last that I checked. He's gone over that in 6 out of 7 games this season, 10 out of 19 games in 2024, and went over that in 2 out of 2 career games against Washington. He also scored a touchdown in 1 or 2 of those games tonight, or one out of 2 career games against Washington. I'd have to lean towards him getting over that. KT, let's start with you. Do you think Kelsey goes over that tonight? And do you think he gets in the end zone? Do you think he scores a touchdown?
Yeah, I think he could. To be looking at it, to be honest, that defense is gonna have their hands full. Rashid Rice, Xavier Worthy, Thornton. It gives Travis Kelce. Anytime those guys are playing, Kelce always has a big game because he's always kind of the free guy that's open. He's a free guy that's open. I can't see him doing that tonight. That is actually a pretty good prop if you want to take that, because I can actually see those CBs, those cornerbacks, they're going to have their hands for the night. And how do you defend it? One thing you said earlier, that I looked at, the run game of Kansas City Chiefs it's nothing new one will write home about. You're not really scared of it, So definitely looking at it we got to probably double up Rice. We got to put somebody to make sure Xavier Worthy doesn't get away from us. And then you still have Thornton, you still have Juju. So you could see it could happen a few times, a blown coverage once or twice for Travis Kelce to get away from him.
Yeah. JB, do you have any thoughts about Kelsey's performance tonight? Do you think he'll do good? Do you think he'll get in the end zone?
Yep, he'll do good. He'll get in the end zone. He's the Chiefs' leading wide receiver right now. Well, not wide receiver, but
receiver,
the ball.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, Zach Ertz, over under 29.5 receiving yards, over under 3.5 receptions. The Chiefs were terrible at defending against the tight end position last season, and I don't think that they have truly been tested this season, to be honest with you. And I think Zach Ertz, could very well go over both of those props. I think that I would probably lean towards him going over the receiving yards instead of the receptions, simply because he's gone over the receiving yards in 4 out of 7 games this season, whereas he's only gone over those receptions in 2 out of 7 games this season. KT, what do you think about Zach Ertz tonight?
To be honest, he's already on my ticket. My ticket looks like this. My ticket has Mariota to go over 29.5. I have him to throw for over 175. They have his throwing yard is only 196, so I got a really good deal on that. I have Travis Kelce anytime TD, Zach Ertz anytime TD, and I went with my man here, Brashad Smith, as I was completing it over 17.5. I was going to put the Commanders on it, but I was like, you know what? If it does become a blowout, at least I know I'm safe with my ticket. So I'm going to probably put them in single. But I do see Zach Ertz definitely having a pretty big night.
Yeah. And so for out of this receiving corp for the Chiefs, I mean, it's how do you want it? They have Rice, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju. I mean, the list goes on. Thornton. Which one out of those receivers do you expect to have the best game? I think you already mentioned Rashid Rice. I get that. But what about the other ones? Worthy, Brown, Juju, Thornton.
I know this probably won't happen. But maybe JB will have a thought on this. I would actually like them to get Thornton a little bit more involved in the offense because he's tall, he can get up there, he can give you a little bit of yards after the catch, and he's extremely fast. I think since Xavier came back, Rice came back, he's kind of got lost a little bit in that offense. But because their running game, JB to me is not if they're going to win a Super Bowl or we're talking Patrick Mahomes, to avoid him having to put his body on the line so much. If they can use that guy, he can get a blown coverage, I think 8 out of 10 times to get down the field.
I think Thornton is in a dream spot tonight. I really do. Before the week started, Thornton ranked first in the entire NFL in yards per catch, and nobody allowed more yards per catch than Washington's defense before the week started. So, I mean, the question is how many targets is he going to get? You know, how do you feel about that, JB? Do you think that the Chiefs will include Thornton in this offense tonight? I mean, I think it's a great spot.
So that I think really depends on what's going on with Xavier Worthy and his shoulder. You know, last week we seen him get roughed up. He got pretty aggravated on the sideline. You know, he did get back in the game, but his role wasn't really deep downfield at that point. And we were playing the Raiders. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's going to be like a mixture of Brown and Juju is where you're going to get your money at tonight. But if he's 100%, man, it's going to be Worthy. I don't see him having that big of an impact.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I would have to lean towards Juju going over the 13.5 receiving yards. I like that prop kind of, of course, I'm worried about target share, but he's gone over that in 2 out of 2 career games against Washington. Now, who are your guys' favorite touchdown scores in this game for both teams? KT, who do you see scoring a touchdown for either of these teams?
I'm going to definitely take Zach Ertz, hands down. And on the other side, I'm going to take Rashid Rice.
Ertz and Rashid Rice. JB? Statistically, I didn't see much history with these guys against Washington, but I think I mentioned that Kareem Hunt has a touchdown in 1 out of 2 career games against Washington. Yes. And then Kelsey does as well. 1 out of 2 career games. Man, I am going to have to lean towards Kareem Hunt getting an anytime touchdown in this one. And then for Washington, I could see Ertz getting one. I think that's probably where they need to go, Zach Ertz. And, I mean, I can look up real quick where the Chiefs have allowed the most touchdowns to a position this season. So they haven't allowed many receiving touchdowns to running backs. Rushing touchdowns to running backs, they haven't allowed a lot either. Receiving touchdowns to wide receivers, they haven't allowed a lot of those. And then to the tight end position, man, this Chiefs defense has really just been limiting these these touchdowns at every position. But I think you're on. I think I like Ertz. I think
right. The last primetime game I remember, the Chiefs played the Jaguars. If the Commanders can copy a little bit of what they did, because it is a copycat league, I think the Commanders definitely cover this spread.
The Commanders against tight end Breezy Time, they were not in the top 10 or bottom 10 in receiving yards allowed to tight ends before the week started. So they were somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then receptions allowed to tight ends, Washington ranked 9th best. So they did pretty good at limiting tight end receptions this season. So it was really the receiving yards allowed to tight ends where they were vulnerable. And they've allowed 4 tight end touchdowns this season, which doesn't sound like a lot, but technically they've allowed the fourth most. Now, Washington, some of these teams have played 8 games. So I'm not going by a per game basis. This is by the entire season, the total. So yeah, I could see, Kelsey getting in there, getting a receiving touchdown, picking up those receiving yards. I'd have to lean towards that more than his receptions. I don't know what the receptions are, but I figured that they would be pretty high. Let me check. Probably looks like 6.5, 3.5. Wow, 3.5, and that makes sense. I mean, because Rashee Rice is back in the mix and whatnot. So, what happened here?
I'm not sure what happened there. I got kicked off.
Oh, okay.
Also, if I don't know how many people we have watching. If y'all want to see what we put together, if you go on Winnable at Sports Picks, I'm gonna put all the picks that we came up today, and I'm gonna put them in there under the free plan. You won't have to pay for it, so you guys can see what it gives. You can put $10, $5. You never know, you might get lucky.
Sounds good, man. And if you guys do like the receiving props for any Washington running backs, I think those are worth looking at. The Chiefs haven't been very good or very bad at limiting those yards or receptions to running backs. But I think with Eckler being out, Eckler is a good pass catching back. I think that really limits Washington in that area. But if you had that on your radar, I can see that hitting. The Chiefs, I mentioned before that their pass defense has been real good. They ranked 4th best in passing yards allowed per game this season before the week started. Receiving yards allowed to wide receivers, they ranked 7th best before the week started. I think I would probably have to lean, if I were to go with a wide receiver prop for Washington, I'd have to lean towards Debo over the 4.5 receptions. He's gone over that in 4 out of 6 games this season, 2 out of 4 times in career games against Kansas City. And KT already mentioned how getting him involved is going to be critical for the Commanders' success tonight. So that would be the prop I would be looking for in regards to the.
You know who we haven't really mentioned much of? Terry.
Yeah.
I realize we haven't said much about Terry, and maybe he might just be the X factor in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. His receiving yards, 43.5. He's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this season. He didn't go over that in his only career game against Kansas City and didn't score a touchdown in that game either. But, yeah, man, I think with him being back, that's big for him.
We mentioned Debo. We mentioned Zach. We mentioned a running back. We haven't really said much about Terry, and I'm looking at maybe he's a sleeper pick for tonight.
Yep, very well could be. So, yeah, I think all in all, yeah, my favorite plays in this one's going to be Washington plus that 10.5. Mahomes, I mean, I could see the Chiefs, running the ball a lot if they get up, but I do expect Washington to contend. So I like the Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. I do like some other props more. I like that Brashard Smith over the 17.5 receiving yards. The Juju over 13.5 receiving yards. Zach Ertz over the 29.5 receiving yards. Kelsey over the 41.5 receiving yards. Kareem Hunt over 20.5 rushing yards. And Mariota, we talked about that being one of the first player prop that we really looked at, KT.
That's my favorite player prop.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that's definitely that's like a guaranteed single. If you want to put a single player prop in, that is a guaranteed single player prop right there.
Hollywood Brown. Ivan asks about Hollywood Brown went over the 23.5 receiving yards in 6 out of 7 games this season and went over that in 2 out of 2 career games against Washington. But if I look at, let me try to look this up. Hollywood Brown versus Washington. Just the history here. Let's see if we find anything. with his touchdowns against Washington throughout his career. That was one player that I just didn't see if he had one or not. So he's 0 for 1 in scoring touchdowns against Washington. And I'm trying to check that other game where he played against them. So he didn't score a touchdown in either one of those games. I think it's, very possible that he goes over those receiving. And, what we can do also with
It all comes down to if they can affect the quarterback. If Commanders can really affect the quarterback. That's what it's going to come down to. Because I'm looking at that. Hollywood, yes. But if they get behind the sticks more often than not, I can see him not really covering his amount.
And, Ivan, I'm looking at Marquise Brown, and he does lead the Chiefs in red zone targets with 8. Now, some of that may have to do with Rashee Rice not being in the full season, So, but he does lead the team in red zone targets, and the Chiefs have been entering the red zone often. They rank second best in red zone attempts per game. Washington has allowed their opponents to get in the red zone quite often. They rank 21st in red zone attempts per game. And the Chiefs have been converting touchdowns when they enter the red zone at a pretty good rate. They ranked 9th before the season started. Washington ranked 13th in opponent red zone conversion rate. So, yeah, I do think that there's going to be some opportunity here. It's just how much of that number, is skewed due to the absence of.
You're right. I think a lot of those numbers are skewed. Patrick Mahomes has his favorite target back.
Mm-hmm.
He has his target back. I know if you double him up, you got a whole problem with Xavier Worthy, Thornton, Juju, Hollywood, bro. I just believe Commanders gonna score first, and they're gonna keep this game close.
Yep, same here. All right. Any other thoughts on this game, KT?
I don't give Patrick Mahomes the 3 touchdowns today. I give him 2 touchdowns and 2 rushing.
Yeah, 3 is ambitious, definitely. The only reason why I really like that or be looking towards it is because he would hit a milestone. Like I said at the start, he'd move up on that all-time passing touchdown career leaders list. But, that does seem like a little too many.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite props, Mariota, over 29.5 rushing. And Brashard Smith, man, over the 17.5 receiving. But somehow I think Washington does cover as well. So Washington plus that 10.5. But that about does it here. I just want to say thanks to our supporters, subscribers, followers. We really appreciate you guys here at the Not Move podcast. Also, big shout out to our sponsors, Open Goal, Walmart.com, the MLB and NFL Pro Shops, Bet Online, or not Bet Online.
Us USA.
Yeah, there's so many sponsors now. I've lost track. Look, I do want to mention them though because it's only right. Just got to go searching my notes here. Kind of botching this. Okay. Let me see here. Bet US. Right. Mm-hmm. And then there's one more. Bet US and mybookie.ag.
There you go.
Don't forget patience, guys.
Don't forget, guys, as well. I'll be putting the sports picks that we came up with together in a parlay. Export picks on Winnable. You're able to go there and find what we put together today. I appreciate it. Shout out to all our sponsors as well. It's been fun.
Awesome. KT, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. And once again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care, everybody. Not moved out.
All right.
Good luck.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.